Hi, I'm Patty McGarrahan from The Mind's Eye, and this is The Mind's Eye Show. And today, as a guest, I have Susan Clements, and she's been on before, and I love her having her here. And a lot of us, my age group people, we know her from her shop in Wickford, the herbal shop that she had, and she is an herbalist, as well as many other things. And first, I'd like to thank Susan for coming today.
Thanks, Patty. It's fun to be back here with you again.
Yes, I so enjoy it. And I told her that no matter what, one of the first things I did want to talk about is she's one of the dancing witches from the Wickford Parade. And tell her about that award that you got.
So the first year that we had the parade, I was awarded Best Witch of Wickford. And it was very exciting.
Yeah.
I was thrilled to have that. I really felt it was an acknowledgement of not just my dance style so much, but the fact, or even my costume, but the fact that I had been part of that community for many years.
Many years, yes.
Many years, since 1988, and this was 2 years ago that I was recognized for that. So I was really thrilled, and it was a lot of fun, and I felt a lot of validation for receiving that.
And I had taken my grandson down there, and we saw her in the parade, and her dancing is fabulous too.
Oh, well, thank you.
And so is your costume. So
oh, well, thank you.
It is as
thank
well.
You.
So I just told her I had to mention that because I absolutely adore that, and I find that the dancing witch is like one of my favorite things to see when they have it at an event or anything.
You know what was really wonderful about that, Patty, was that it fell on the heels of all of us coming out of the COVID lockdown. And when we came down the street and we saw, we came down Main Street in Wickford, and we turned the corner onto Brown, and there were people deep. Not just one or two, but they were deep on the sidewalk, and everybody had a big smile on their face. Yep. They were so excited, and it was so uplifting and happy, and it was a great way to be back into life again.
Absolutely.
It just was fabulous, really.
I agree. I was just a bystander, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So
Good.
I thank you for you guys doing that, and I'm so glad that you got the best witch.
Oh, me too.
Yes. So in here too, we're going to talk about, you are involved with essential oils, correct?
Essential oils, herbs, lots of things.
Lots of things. And you said that in the springtime, you're hoping to do something. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I've been teaching herbalism. My first apprenticeship program was 1991. Mm-hmm. I was teaching little classes, smaller classes before that time, and I've continued to keep up the tradition all these years. Yep. I don't do the apprenticeship program anymore, but what I did do is sort of pull it apart and create what I call pods. And I found as time went on, people just didn't have the time to dedicate a whole weekend or even a full day for 7 months and then go on after that if they wanted to. So when I pulled the program apart and created these pods, I made it so that it was easier for people to take what it was that they enjoyed.
That they enjoyed, yes.
Right. So I just do a couple of different pods now. One of them is apothecary, and I think I'll probably do that over the winter time, as we get closer to spring. Because if people want to have a garden or do any foraging at all, then they really need to know how they're going to do the preparations, whether they're internal or external preparations.
Now, are these in person or are they?
These are in person.
Cool.
I've not jumped into the online bandwagon.
I have had to a little bit, but my in person is my fav.
Yeah, me too.
Readings I could do all day long on phones. I don't care,
Sure.
But the other stuff I like to do in person.
Yeah, I think too when people are working with plants, it's not just this for that. It's the whole concept of being able to touch and smell and see the growing environment. And when you can't be in the field, when you can't be in the middle of it, I think there's a loss, there's a disconnect. Mm-hmm. And so I like the in-person, and the groups are smaller. It's not like a mass community as it would be if it were online, but I don't need that.
I have a friend that took the whole apprenticeship program with you back when?
Way back when.
Way back when,
Yeah,
yes.
I can't even begin to think about how many people have gone through the programs with me.
I've like got a brown thumb, so
yeah.
I have a little more trouble with it.
That's okay. You excel at other things.
And other things, and I have some good friend. I have one of the girls that's working back there. She gave me a plant called George, and when I used to almost kill it, she would bring George back to life. We used to call it, she made five children out of a plant, and it George, and then it was George, and George, you know, like, yeah. So, but anyway, I would give it back to her when I almost killed it, and she'd bring it back to life. And both of them are still alive. I've got another one from that, and one at my house and one at the Mind's Eye. But basically, other than that, I had another girlfriend that helped me with another plant. Other than that, I stink at it. It's just, we can't all be good at everything, right? But you are fantastic. You've done, years ago, you had stopped teaching for a while, but years ago you did a couple of things at my shop, and I appreciated those too.
Yeah,
they were fabulous.
I'm winding down with the teaching a little bit. I'm not as young as I was in 1988.
No?
No.
No.
But and every year I say, I'm not going to do this anymore, and then I change my mind.
People get you to do it.
Well, you know what? I love it.
Yes, and that's what it is.
I love it.
I'm trying to turn over to some of my students some of the things that I do, because I'm just spread all over the place, and I'm trying to turn it in. But again, I love it too. So it's every once in a while, if I have a couple of my regulars, I sit there and say, I'm going to teach that. Yeah. So, in fact, my camera lady knows I was going to retire Reiki, and she and someone wanted to take it, and I said, oh, I love working with those two, because I've worked with them with a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. So I end up coming out of retirement.
Sure, yes, that's what happens.
Absolutely.
I don't know when or if I'll ever retire, but
I don't think so. I think I still take classes too.
Me too.
I love it, and I think that's what makes you extraordinary. Do you know what I mean? Because I've watched other people in the field, and they stay the same. Do you know what I mean? Where even your energy moves up. Like every time I see you, it's just fabulous. And I've noticed, like some of the things I do, I know I have moved up, and it's because I'm constantly learning, and I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I think, for both of us, with what we do, there are so many avenues and places to explore that it never stops. There's always going to be something else. Right now for me, I've done so much in the plant world, but the piece that I hadn't done yet that I really was curious about was making art with plants. Because when I see a plant, I just don't see a plant. I see the elements. I see and feel the vibrations of the plants. So even making art, I still see it as healing.
Yes.
Every part of working with these plants is healing.
I see a Facebook thing that you do every once in a while, something that you put on Facebook, and I can see by your face and the energy around it, because when I flip through Facebook, I sometimes I text somebody, are you okay? They'll say, how did you know? But you know what I mean? But with you, I can see whenever you're out in nature, you're just part of it. Do you know what I mean? I can just feel it.
Yeah. I'm like a two-legged plant. I mean, it's just it's infiltrated every cell in my body after all these years. And I had a connection when I was a child. I didn't grow up in a home where we used herbal remedies or anything like that, but I was always out. I was always in the woods. My grandfather would set a tent up in his yard, and I would sleep in the yard. And I grew up in Warwick until I was 14. So it wasn't like I was in the country.
Yep.
But I had that connection, and my grandfather really fostered that in me. My mother was a gardener, he was a gardener, but my grandfather would take me out, and I would go and I played in the woods all the time. I would one of the things that I did that I thought about afterwards, years later, was that I used to pot up plants, and wild plants, and sell them to my neighbors.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, that is so cool.
so I've been around.
You've been doing
this
it for a
stuff
long time.
and doing it for a long time.
Where in what section of Warwick did you live?
In Lakewood.
In Lakewood? Yeah.
Yes.
Because I lived near Pilgrim Park growing up.
Oh,
And there was a
yeah.
wooded area over there. And I picked, you'll laugh, I picked a whole bouquet of these beautiful leaves to give to my mother. And I went to give them to her, and she freaked out, and I didn't know why. It was poison ivy.
Oh no.
I made a whole bouquet of poison ivy, and I never got it. But my mother got it just opening the door and saying, "Get rid of that, Patty," because she was so allergic to it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so I really knew that this was not necessarily my forte, but I'm so excited that there's people like you around, that it's your forte, you know. So what pod were you thinking about doing in the spring?
So I'll do the apothecary, and then the beginning of May, I go right into wild plant foraging.
Oh, nice.
So I run that pod from the beginning of May until October, and we follow the season. Wild plants have always been more my thing. I like the things that I can grow in the garden, but I really like the wild plants, and specifically invasive species, because there's a lot of those around, and they really have, a tremendous amount.
Name a
of,
few.
Oh my gosh.
I put you on the spot here.
Put me on the spot. There's so many of them. What have I got? I've got, oh my gosh. Well, there's mugwort. That's coming to mind. That comes up in
like
the
what is that?
spring.
What is that? Like?
Mugwort has mugwort. If you ever smelled mugwort, is Artemisia vulgaris, and so it's governed by the goddess Artemis. If you turn that leaf over, it's very silvery gray color. We use it for the dream state.
Oh, nice.
We'll make smudge sticks out of it. In the early spring, if we collect it when it's really young and we infuse it in a raw pressed apple cider vinegar, it's loaded with vitamins and minerals, so it becomes a good spring tonic. My favorite wild plant to forage that's invasive is the Rosa rugosa, which is our common beach rose that grows all along our coastline here. And that I love that. I do rose night with the foraging pod, and we meet at the beach, and we have a lovely evening where
nice.
I do a little lecture for them first and pass some things around that I've made, and then they go off and they collect beach roses until dark.
Nice.
It's magical.
Oh, that is magical.
It totally is, and that's the beginning.
It gets you
of June.
so away from life.
Oh, it does.
The busy, crazy life and that kind of stuff. I've done, I did for years, and I had access to a private beach. So for years I did the fires, and I would have people write stuff and put that in.
Sure.
And we'd like dance around the fire and put in release mints, into the fire and stuff like that. But I thought that was cool, but I think what you do is even cooler. With the people, that's fabulous.
Yeah. Working with the roses is that you're sitting by the ocean. You're working with a plant that's been totally imbued with ocean energy. It's so feminine. It's the divine feminine, really, and it has so many uses. I use it in skincare all the time. I have a 10-liter copper still that I make hydrosols with, and the roses can go into that. Yeah. I'd make a rose syrup out of it, rose elixir, rose cordial. It just is, endless.
Well, that is fantastic. So what are some of the products that you make?
I have a whole line of skin and body care. I'm also a holistic esthetician. I morphed the herbal part of my life also into focusing more on skin. And
which you have fabulous skin.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely fabulous.
Genetically predisposed, good products.
And good products, yes.
And a healthy lifestyle.
Yes, absolutely. So name some of the skincare products that you have.
I have a line of, I have the whole face care line, so I make cleansers, toners. I incorporate a lot of the plants that I either grow or forage. I make serums, so for the moisturizers, something for a mask.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you after you were through. Did you do a mask? Because
Yeah.
I love doing those.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yes.
And then I do body care too. So I have a whole refrigerator that's totally dedicated to infused carrier oils that go into my products. And each carrier oil is infused with a different plant. So I can go into my refrigerator and I just pull out what I need.
Nice, nice. So like in the masks and stuff, like what plants do you use for that?
Well, usually I'll use things that are, of course, they're dried. So I'll powder the Rosa rugosa, lavender from the garden,
Oh, beautiful.
calendula.
Now, what's calendula?
Calendula officinalis. A lot of people like to think of it. Sometimes people also call it pot marigold, but it's a wonderful plant for skincare. It's very soothing. It's healing on the skin. It's cleansing. It will help to eliminate like any kind of reactions, rashes, that sort of thing.
Oh, that is fabulous.
Yeah, it's great.
So how can
That's not wild.
That's not wild. No, but that's garden grown.
Yeah.
So in here, if somebody is interested in some of your stuff, is Facebook the best way to get a hold of you?
Yes, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I have pages.
Instagram too?
Instagram.
Ooh, you wild and crazy lady.
Hey, it's tough to teach old dogs new tricks, though.
I'm learning, but thank God for the children and the grandchildren sometimes to help me along.
The kids know the way.
They absolutely know the way. So it's Susan Clements, and is that what your Facebook page name is?
It's on Facebook. It's Earth and Ocean Herbals.
Oh, Earth and Ocean Herbals. Yes, if you want to look at some of the stuff she does, she's pretty incredible. And
thank you.
And I love watching, as I said, the stuff on your even your Susan Clements, your personal page too. And it's usually you doing a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I tend to.
Yes, and if anybody's interested in doing any of her pods or anything like that, to let you know.
Yep.
And if you have troubles getting a hold of it, it's always you can come through me, and I can always find find people. Yes. So, all right. So now I want to know some of the body products. Like what do you have in them?
The body products. What have I been doing? I've been doing. Make something called Skin Dew, which is a combination of a variety of the different oils that I've infused with plants. That's really nice. That's a good for summertime or for massage therapy.
Okay.
Body butters this time of the year,
because it gets so dry.
Right. So they're really great for that. I do some bath products, but not so much with the bath. Mostly it's the hydration for the skin.
Okay. Now, what do you do for like chapped lips?
Well, I made this really cool product called It's the Balm.
It's the balm?
It's the Balm. And it has, again, a combination of different oils and butters in it that are very emollient. And I made it originally for an eye balm, because this tends to get really dry. Our eye area, the pores are very small. So as we age, that's the part that goes first on our face. Great, huh?
Nice, huh? Yeah.
And so I made that originally as a gift for my sister. And then I said to her one day, I think we should use this all over our face. And she said, oh yeah, I've already been doing that, so I use that at night. But I use it for the eye area, and I use it for the lips, and it's really good for hydrating the skin.
Excellent.
So that's one of my favorites.
It made me think of that because I had the last weekend, I had my grandson. He had all chapped up here, and he is but he only has it like a short period, like almost like when that winter fall is changing.
Yes.
But he has it, and what they have out on the market does nothing for it.
Right. Well, the skin goes through a major transition, as our bodies do as well. When we're in that, especially that fall to winter time, and then again at the end of the winter when we go into spring. Those are real big times.
So what is the change between winter and spring?
Winter and the spring is that our diet is going to start to shift, And, you know, we've been used to being very cold. And if you go back, like, a real long time ago, when people put up a lot of food and the stores were starting to, you know, what they stored away for the winter, you know, they're eating a lot of beans, a lot of heavy stuff, a lot of carbs, you know, all that kind of thing. So the body really needed to shift, and of course then we're also going into the time when the allergies will start to perk up again. So you really
allergies
need to,
perk up for me, yes.
Yeah. So, you know, the body really needs to have a little bit of cleansing. And what's really cool is that the plants that come up in the spring are really all about that. So that transition, all the plants this happens throughout the entire year.
Yes.
And that's why I love doing this foraging pod, because when we start in May and we go to October, we're following the season of all of those plants that are best for us as we move through those months. So in the spring, all those plants that come up are really about cleansing and helping our bodies to adjust now to the warmer weather, to get them, you know, the cobwebs out from the winter, get our liver cleared up, get our kidneys cleared up, to help us to deal, if we have allergies, spring allergies, it helps to support all of that.
And it's crazy because herbal has not been my mindset.
Right.
Per se. I'm woo up here, you know, most of the time. But I had a gentleman from the other TV show that I work on and stuff that he works on it, and he does a little bit of herbalist too. And he was just talking one night. We went out to eat afterwards, a whole group of us, and he was talking about dandelion root. And I'm not a drinker. I'm one of those that, like, if I have 8 drinks a year, that's really been a heavy year, you know. And I had fatty tissue in my liver that the doctor was concerned. It hadn't hit concern, but just watch it, you know. And she was amazed 8 weeks before they were checking it the next time. I started on the dandelion root, and I got to tell you something. She goes to me, it's all set. So it's amazing, some of the stuff.
Yes, and that's one of the invasive plants. Nobody wants dandelion in the yard. How many people put chemicals in their lawn?
Not me. I love dandelions. You know, I have always loved dandelions, and I don't know whether it's the make-the-wish part of it or if it is, but if it's dandelions, I get mad if the lawn guy cuts them. Do you know what I mean? I get upset because I love them.
They really show us the promise of everything.
Yes.
You know, the promise of spring. They've got this sunny face. You know, I mean, there's something magical about them, and then they take us through a whole cycle, you know, where they come up. That we've got that yellow flower, and then we go into the, you know, that it becomes a crone almost, you know, and we blow out all the seeds to make a wish.
Yep.
So it's, you know, it's just.
It's fabulous. Yeah, it's fabulous. And then we've got Sue here, and then there's Patty. I spent $120 on bulbs one time, and I planted them. And I'm waiting for them to come up and wait, because all I had in my front was, I actually had like the Mother's Day plants from the woman that owned the house before me. And so I planted all these plants, and I'm waiting, and the lady across the street from me is like a really wonderful gardener and everything. And I said to her, she goes, explain to me how you planted the bulbs. And she turned to me and she goes, hell's blooming, because I planted them all upside down. Yep. So I had a blooming hell.
Hell's blooming.
Hell's blooming. That's what she
funny.
said to me. And so I really thought that was funny. So I love I'm intrigued by people like you. And I always joke that I had to name my place the Mind's Eye, because other than an eyeball, I can't draw anything. Do you know what I mean? And so the fact the plants where you can see the artwork in them, that amazes me. And I love being around people that have that artistic brain, because I don't. Do you know what I mean? I think I've been too much numbers and accounting and all that kind of stuff that I don't have that brain. So do you actually do something with plants to make the artwork, or do you just see it in the plants?
Both.
Both?
First of all, herbalism is a creative art form.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when I share that with my students, I give them free rein to explore. Please do things that you might think are outside the box. I can give you a tool, but take it someplace else. Okay, so that right there, when people are making medicine, when they're making skincare, when they're making food, and they're using all of these plants, that's creating, and that's an art form. Okay, but beyond that, the class that I took this weekend is all about eco-printing. Okay, so it's about using plants on fabric to leave an imprint.
Wow.
So that's another whole area to explore.
Oh, wow.
And when I think about that, and I think about the vibrations of the plants, because I don't look at a plant just as a plant anymore. I see a plant as corresponding to an element. How am I going to incorporate that in? What is it that I need or somebody else needs from a specific element that maybe they can balance out? Okay, so even on fabric, using certain plants with a vibration, you know, I just think the sky is the limit. I mean, there's a process, and you know, there's a way that this is done in order to hold that imprint. But at the same time, I keep thinking, this is medicine.
No, absolutely. And I've been amazed, as I said, the little bit I've touched into it, I've been totally amazed. I've always honored it because, in other words, my front yard was part of a farm at one time, so I won't let them do like weed killer or any of that kind of stuff on it because I love seeing what comes up every year.
Sure.
And we had a class one time. I had a girl that I think she took classes with you too, actually, and she was doing a class and explaining like even oregano and stuff like that, what vibrations and what it had. But she said, your front yard is really cool. Can we all go out there? And I have, across the street from me is probably the least nosy neighbor in the world that he was, and even he was hanging out the window because she pointed in my front yard and she said this was a certain type of lettuce that some of the things were coming up. And she was talking about back then when she did this, it was probably 20 years ago. So when she was talking about it, it was only certain restaurants like on the hill and everything that had that kind of lettuce in their salad and stuff. So when she said it, out of 11 people, eight bent over and grabbed a piece and ate it. So they were eating stuff off my front lawn. And the neighbors are like, some of them are doing yard work and some of them doing everything. And she was doing a class called Kitchen Witching, is what she did. And she did a thing outside. And I'll tell you the name afterwards because I have a feeling that you'll remember. And she did a fabulous job. But it was like the neighbors, so I called my husband I did a thing every Tuesday night at my house. And my husband, I called him up and said, you might want to wait till 1 o'clock in the morning to come home because everybody in the neighborhood's talking about us.
Yeah.
Just as they're bending over. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what happens when you go out on a weed walk too. You know, everybody wants to sample.
Yes, yes.
But you should never sample anything that you're absolutely not sure
of.
about.
Right, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you ever saw everybody just leaned over, grabbed a piece and started chewing on it, and I'm sitting there laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, yeah. So
Good.
it's.
You learn a lot about the plants when you do it that way.
So I've always, it's just been instilled in me that I honor it. I just, that it's not my forte particularly, but I'm very honorable to everything. And I don't, like I said, I don't like them even cutting any of the dandelions or any of that kind of stuff. So, and lilacs are one of my favorite things, and I have them around. But I let them grow just as they want to grow. Do you know what I mean? So I have a certain way about me. But so maybe I did it in a past life, but this life for some reason it kind of blanked out. So I want to thank Susan for being here today, and Susan Clements, and say again your business Facebook page.
Earth and Ocean Herbals and Wellness.
Earth and Ocean Herbals and Wellness.
And then on Instagram, it's Susan Clements Herbalist.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for coming with us today.
Thanks, Patty.
Take care.
It's fun.
Yes, excellent.